Happy
Hey, buddy.
Friday, Pat, and hello to our millions and millions of viewers.
Yes.
Everybody could make it. Going to have a good show
Well,
today.
how to do?
That's right. Well, howdy do. So, lots of stuff. I saw a lot of numbers this morning, and I'm going to do a deep dive in supply and demand just to illustrate why we emphasize it so much. I think you'll enjoy it. And
Good.
I want to
I,
start. What's that?
I always enjoy what you bring to the table.
Too kind. I want to start. Ellen, we have a link at the top in the comment section for anybody that's watching live, which now is 1 million. We you can use that link at the top of the chat to join us live if you want. You'll show up in the bottom, and we can add you to the show either with your video and audio or just your audio, so we can give that a shot. But here's what's hello, Jackie. Here's what's going on with Opendoor. I pulled up their numbers today, and they were showing active over 1,000 homes about a month ago, right? Now they're showing active of 793 homes. So I look at that and go, okay, they're finally whittling away at their inventory, and they have 311 pending, and that's about 100 higher than what we had 2 weeks ago. Of course, that was Christmas time. But then I went and looked at temporarily off market, and they have almost 300 homes pulled off the market so they can fix up. So where's that put them? Back to 1,070. So they're not whittling away at their inventory like it looks like they would, and I can touch on that in just a moment. Trending topics, got an Opendoor listing my client is offering on Sunday at 525. Will offer 495. Pray for me. Yeah, that's a stretch. We'll see. We've been watching one down in Maricopa, and Pat knows about this one. And they pulled it off temporarily off market. We lowballed them, and I mean it needed a lot of work, Pat. It was everything about it was terrible, and it went back on the market yesterday morning. And today, no, Pat's just got more clarity today, Jackie. It's got a better signal. It went pending.
I got a facial. I got a facial this morning.
Yeah. It went pending this morning or this afternoon. So they went in. This place was destroyed by the pigeons, and the inside was terrible. They finally repainted the entire outside, redid the flooring inside. It had stained cement, so they put in carpet and tile. Fixed the railing going upstairs because it had dog bites all over. Painted every room in the house, and upgraded the bathroom fixtures. And voila, it's sold in a day for the same price. So it shows that in this market, if you take the time to fix up your house, it'll go. Because this one was 479, and it was 479 when we looked at it. But I said, you're never going to get that. It's in such bad shape. But lo and behold, so they are. I'm also reading in some of the forums that people are getting some pretty hefty concessions from them. And I want to touch about that on that a little bit too. But let's jump in for just a moment to supply and demand. And I got this off the Cromford Market Index. And like I say, I want to spend a little time on this, Pat. And I think you'll like it because if I put us on the bottom here, the chart will be a little bigger. See this line that I'm following with my mouse right here?
Mm-hmm.
That's pricing, okay? So if you look here back in roughly 2005, the green line is demand. See how the demand was up and way above the supply line?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened to prices? They went up. Now, things switched. Supply greatly exceeded demand by a record amount, and prices came down by a record amount. Now, if you look here, here's supply below demand, 2009 to 2011. Prices went up. They kind of met in the middle and kind of muddled around a little bit. Supply started dropping. We saw demand up again above 100 and supply down to about 58. Prices started coming up, kind of leveled off here. Now, when demand spiked up December of 2020 and
Yep.
supply was way down here, it's no wonder that line went straight up when you combine it with 3% mortgages.
Yep.
And now look where they're at. And so right now their supply and demand are like meeting. And so we were in a buyer's market for such a tiny period of time that Tina Tambur on the conference report this morning wanted to show us just how short that buyer's market was right there. That was it. That's it was like 2 weeks. So if you blink, you're gonna miss it. And
That chart is pretty amazing if you look at it. I mean, look at how we are stalemated now. Buyers and the demand, the supply, and the demand.
yeah, and it shows up again on their other chart here that shows. Look at all these green uh, arrows here that are showing that they're improving for sellers. Chandler climbed out of the basement. They're at 143. They're up 47%, and so that's pretty huge.
Now, what's up 47% then? What is that? I mean, I'm playing devil's
The
advocate.
Cromford Market Index. So
Okay,
Chandler's
yeah, okay,
more.
yeah.
Chandler's
Okay,
a
yeah.
clear seller's market now instead of a buyer's market.
Yeah.
So now I looked at our listings today, and there's 16,000. Let me look at it right now. Like 16,282. So they've only gone up like 75 homes from yesterday to today. So remember, as we were looking at this every day, and we'd track the listings and see, and we would see that they would always go down on Tuesday to a low, and then on Friday they would spike up. But
Mm-hmm.
it's been level all week. We didn't even get 100-unit spike on Friday that we would normally would see. So the new listings aren't coming on board, and I'm seeing it here in my 7-day moving average. We're up to 2907 as far as homes going under contract, and only 3384 coming on the market. That's less than 600 homes. That's that gap again between supply and demand, and that tells you that look, folks, unless that changes, prices are not going to go down any further. They're going to go down a little bit, but when I look, canceled listings are, there's nothing out of the ordinary there. People aren't. I looked and said, well, we went down with available homes. Maybe we had a bunch of cancels and expireds, and we don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's sitting there at 43. But here's an interesting one. This is median sales price per square foot. And when you see that we're down at 415, something to keep in mind is that the average seller concession now is almost $10,000. So the real median price is 405. So it's come down from 480 to 405. So just this chart here is down 65,000, but you add in that other 10 grand, take that away from the median sales price, that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if you draw a trend line here, Pat, like your charts, and you just go up on the average of real estate appreciation, we're almost there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether or not we're going to hit that, I don't know. But it's quite the interesting little conundrum that we have. We're just not seeing homes hit the market.
No.
But it's so rate driven that the number of contracts we have is blipped up just enough to make a lot of cities walk out of the buyer's market into the seller's market. Now, could it turn around and change? Of course, it always does.
Mm-hmm.
But and speaking of rates, what are you seeing today? Anything earth shattering?
Nothing too much. I mean, we saw, it was down 6, 5.5 coupon was down 16 basis points. The 10-year treasury was up 8. So it wasn't, a so-so day. It's still stuck, once again, stuck in this channel. It seems as though this channel is right here. These are basically, if this line goes up, rates are going down. This is the price. So we got some, ceilings here at 102, 101.67, and we're at, so we've got some ceilings and floors right in here, all these little lines. But
Yeah.
the market just seems like you said the other day. It seems like it's settling out. There's a little bit more calmness to the market. There's not as much volatility, but we do have the PCE numbers coming out next week on Friday. So I mean, they said you know. In Barry Habib's report, existing home sales came out today. They were down like 1.5% in December. Year over year, the sales are down like 34%. But it's the buyers are kind of hibernating. They're out there, but he said we're at still like a 2.9 month supply, which is still tight. He said 4.6, 4.5 is a normal supply. So you're seeing that on your numbers too. So
Well, the
I
other thing
mean,
to consider too, Pat, is that the numbers that are coming out now, Case Shiller is November because they're always about 2 months behind. National Association of Realtors is December, but the numbers that I'm showing you that have actually turned around are just the past 2 weeks. So January is going to be a whole different ball game
mm-hmm.
because even this headline here says U.S. existing home sales at 210 lows. Well, not in January.
Yeah. Well,
So
that just goes to show you the news is always like 30, 40 days. You're showing real time numbers.
Well, DC here says, I think prices will go down before elections. DC, I've never seen prices affected by elections, not midterms and not presidential elections ever. Whatever's trending happens. If they go down before the elections, is not going to be because of the elections. It'll be other factors like an increase in interest rates, the inability to tame inflation, job cuts. And we're seeing a lot of job cuts right now. Interestingly
Yeah.
enough, with the
Microsoft.
job cuts that are
Microsoft.
out there, yeah, but their stock went up because
Yeah.
they're saying, oh, okay, they're going to improve their earnings now because they got rid of a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
And
And that's
Tyler
what
said,
happens with the Feds. That's what happens when the Feds raise rates. I mean, it's looking out once again. Repeat myself, but when they raise rates, they're like, okay, they're raising rates. The economy is going to slow down in the future, and everything is. Yeah, the average person looks at the news today and makes their decision, but it's already built in or already factored in.
well, Tyler, I predicted a 20% off the top, so I've only got 6% more to go. And if you put in the 10,000 that you're getting for concessions, I'm probably only 2% off.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. I mean, we have not solved the affordability problem yet, but I saw a chart today where they're looking at affordability and saying, okay, how far off are we from affordability? Because right now the prices came down, but interest rates are up. So we haven't put a dent in affordability at all. So if we go down another 5% in pricing and we just get a 1% improvement on interest rates, all of a sudden we're back to that 60, which means an affordable market. 60% of the average buyer can now afford that average home.
Mm-hmm.
And it also takes into consideration that when you look at the average buyer now has to make, $88,000 to afford the average home. If you factor in the fact their wages have gone up 8 to 9%, and then so it's those three things: wages
Yeah.
go up, prices come down, we drop by 1%, boom, you're there.
Well, I think the biggest factor it's going to have the biggest it has the biggest impact short term on affordability is rates. I mean, when I was you looked at matter of fact I looked at a VA rate. I was locking in at 6.5. A little over about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Now they're 5.5, 5 5/8. And one gentleman, I mean, it was a difference. I checked. I didn't have the exact numbers, but it was like $450 a month difference.
Oh,
And
huge, yeah.
so, right, that's why, I mean, prices can come. I mean, I know people are stuck on prices coming down, but once again, if we've seen where these builders are offering 4.99, when the rates were higher, because typically they have hedging. They might have a mortgage company inside that they hedge. They buy $500 million worth of mortgages hedged at this rate. That's why that's why some builders can offer that. But it just goes to show you that the flexibility and the what's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of the word, but elasticity in rates. Demand, the elasticity in demand for when rates come down. I think that's got to be our biggest push. I mean,
Well, I got an
Values
email
might come down.
yesterday, Pat, from Lennar, and they're offering a 30-year fixed at 4.5%.
Yeah, yeah. And I've got the jumbo, as I told you the other day. I mean, I got this one 10-year arm that's right around five and a quarter.
Yeah.
Which is that's pretty reasonable for. So I mean, to come down from 6.5 down to say 5.5 or low fives, you're talking about depending on the loan amount, $300, $400, $500, $600 a month difference, and that is what spurs people. I mean, if values come down from 450 down to 400, 440, not going to have quite the impact that a rate going from 6.5 down to 5.5.
Oh, it's always going to be about the payment.
Yeah, yeah.
I found this
So,
site today that you'd appreciate. It's called tradingeconomics.com.
mm-hmm.
These are every country's stats. Our GDP, our percent of GDP over last year, 1.9. China's 2.9. Interest rate, inflation rate, we're 6.50. China 1.0. And then some of this gets really interesting. If you look at our debt to GDP, look at this, 129,
130.
right? Look at Japan,
Wow.
262.
Holy
Holy
mackerel.
with with a population of 125 million. So you can get there and you can go through all these statistics. It's kind of cool, but it also has a tab for. I'll put this in the chat bar. It's pretty cool. There's calendar, news, markets, indicators, countries, forecasts, and so let me roll this right down here and pop that out for everybody. And take a look at it. It's kind of interesting. Buffalo Bob says, isn't that the truth? I completely agree. If the home is clean and pretty much turnkey, it's going to sell as the price is in line. You have multiple offers. That's what we're seeing. And you know what? I watched the data this morning and numbers they were showing, and the high end Paradise Valley is doing extremely well.
Really?
So what do you got you're pulling up there for me?
I'm pulling up. Yeah. Okay. So this is my ranting and raving for the next 5 minutes. The good old governments. We're here. Is there a saying we're the government and we're here to help?
Yeah. The five more. What was it? We are the government. We are here to help. Yeah. The 8 scariest words in the English language.
Yeah, I mean, but here I'm just gonna I gotta play. Let me just get this tightened up here, because I had this all queued up before. But basically, next coming April 1st, the conventional loans. This is what ticks me off about this government. They say they're trying to help, the home buyer and everything else.
Oh, I read this morning. Yeah, the new FHA stuff.
Yeah, I mean, FHA. I mean, basically, they took apart the loan level pricing adjustments, because basically anything, and this is what people don't understand. Like I said, remember we always joke about what's your rate, McMaster's, and it's like, you've got. Can you see this? Okay.
Well, the majority of people probably watching on their phone, but I mean, if you can blow it up,
well, this is.
Well,
let's see here. I mean, basically here. Let me just let me take this. Is that?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay. Now this is the new chart. These are LLPAs, loan level price. So this is the problem that people don't understand. The average person. I think people that bought homes, but the pricing will be a little different. They've got. It used to be in the old. I don't have the old one. I had it queued up where I had the old chart in front of me, but 740 and above was kind of like your break point, and that. Now it's 760, 779, 780. These are all add-ons to the loan based on your loan to value. So now it's 95, 90 to 95, 85 to 90, because it used to be a little bit broken down where it was 80 to 90. Now it's 80 to 85. And you got all these pricing adjustments. Like here, if you got a 740 FICO score and you're doing 80 to 85% loan to value, you can get if there's a 1% right here, there's a 1% pricing, not the interest rate, but the pricing. So on a $400,000 loan, that could change your pricing by about $4,000.
That's the cost to get the loan.
Yeah, it's kind of built into the rate, the fees. It just plays into the rate and the fees. People can raise, lenders can raise the rate and take that out. There's a lot of things you play around with, but like adjustable rate loan. Now, if you're 90-95, you get hit for a quarter point here. A condo, investment property, second manufactured home, 2 to 4 unit. Now, they even got a hit. This is the new thing. They've got a hit for debt to income ratios over 40%. So if you're, which is really ridiculous because say you're at 42% and you're doing 10% down, right? So you're going to have a hit of 35 basis points. So, let's say on a $450,000 loan, I mean, you're talking about $1,600 there. That
Well, I
goes
think
into
the real important thing about this chart too, besides the fact that why can't they just make it easy?
yeah.
It's kind of like when you see loan limits, they'll be $417,000.84. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't make it
For-
418. I mean, what?
Well, the conventional loan is 726,200. Why couldn't they just say 726 and just call it a day? But
This to me, Pat, should really drive home when someone calls somebody and says, "What's your rate?" It's here's all the variables. You're laying them right out in front.
yeah, you're looking at is it
debt to income ratio?
credit? You got buckets for credit score, and what they did was they're helping. Basically, from a nutshell, is they're taking from the average person and giving it to the poor because basically they're helping this bucket down here, the lower credit scores, but they're also hitting the higher credit scores, saying, okay, hey, you're doing a loan, we're still going to hit you, we're going to make up for it. So that's starting in May, and it's just going to add. Somebody that's in a 680, 690, 700 credit score bucket. I mean, like I said, these buckets right here, the 680 to 699. You go from say 700. Say you're putting, say you got a 700 FICO score, putting 15% down. Your cost is 1.25, but had you, it would have been a lot cheaper. Had you got the 1 1/8 hit, you got these 1.25 hits. I mean, it adds $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to a loan. These hits are here. They've just basically. Let me see if I can change it here. This is the chart that shows where the red is where the pain is. If you're 740, putting 15% down, it's a change of 3/4 of a point right in here. This red part is where is going to get hit the most, and it's 720 to 750.
The people that have good credit ratings to support the people that don't.
Yeah, see the green. The green is where they're helping. So you can see the green. And there's no change in the yellow, but this section in here. So 740, 750 FICO score, putting 10 or 15% down, you're going to get hit with a little bit pricing. Like I said, it could be a couple $1,000 difference in pricing. So that's coming May. And the lenders, it's been announced they're coming out May. It's going to be May 1st, but lenders are going to start kicking it in here probably the next, next couple weeks. Lenders, every lender takes their time.
Isn't it called moving the goalpost?
Yeah. I mean, this is what they do. They'll do this. I mean, they'll tighten up based on where the market's going. They'll tighten up on certain programs. Every lender's got, they might get out of a program or they might tighten up this criteria. So things change week by week, and it's just frustrating because.
I still subscribe to the thought that if it wasn't for the government in housing, you wouldn't need the government in housing. And if they just stay out of it, let's see what happens. But,
so the bands, the 760, 780 bands, they've created these new bands too. Like I said, it used to be 740 and above, or you're good to go, but now it's 740 to 759. And if you're like that one gentleman said, I just saw a comment about 800. Of course, we're responsible to have 832. That's pretty darn good. But probably about the highest I've ever heard. But it's just it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating from my standpoint because you see, once again, the last 10, 15 years, the government is here. We're here to help, and it's so frustrating. And then back when the crash, they blamed the mortgage guys for all the fees that they were charging because of the crash. That was the big thing. Now
Yeah,
they're the
yeah.
ones charging them. Anyway,
Well, speaking of government, there's actually, believe this or not, there's a government agency. I bumped into this morning, and they track the amount of ex- expletives on corporate earnings calls per year, cuss words.
mine must be pretty up there, pretty high.
So so you look at
Is that
that
my
and go,
chart?
okay. So they're swearing more on the earnings call, but the thing that struck out to me is, okay, so you've got staff that listens to earning calls and checks off,
How many
who's
how many times
swearing.
you swear?
So we're getting up against a budget ceiling, and you need to cut back. Start there. I mean, that's the most useless stat I've ever seen in my life. And then I
That's
found
a
one more thing I thought you'd enjoy here too. This is kind of trending. It's actually an old photo of Google Earth, and they're pretty sure it's a Sasquatch. And so again, the thing that sticks out to me is we can get a license plate number from space, right? How come
yeah.
we never see a clear picture of a Sasquatch? I mean, they're always blurry. So we charge and pay off like robots. I'm a lender myself and keep my credit dialed in. Basically, the new pricing model is following non-agency jumbo, where 780 is tier 1A. Yeah, but don't you
Yeah.
wish it was just simpler?
Yeah, I mean anything. It really should be saying anything over. That's why I think the credit agencies are run by the mafia because it's like you got seven. Well, what's the difference between 720? I mean, you're starting to cut snip at hairs when you 720 versus 740 or 740 versus 760. I guarantee if you look at a 720 credit report, and I've seen reports where they're 740, but it looks like they should be about 690, and I've seen other ones that are 690 that should be 740. It doesn't make any head or tail. But the problem is, you get that one client that is just on the cutoff. It's like all of a sudden your pricing changes a little bit. So, and that the biggest thing is the debt to income. I mean, to charge you more now for having a debt to income ratio over 40% is really ridiculous because I guarantee you, not 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 people I pre-qualify are 40, 41, 42, 43, give or take, that model. But yeah, Buffalo Bobby, I mean, 720, 740, I mean, to me, you're really cutting hairs. And now you're just nickel and diming people for a bunch of fees,
Yeah, yeah.
And like you said, I mean, it's not, you're talking about a $400,000 house, and you get a difference pricing, of let's say almost a 3/4 of a point or point. That's 3-4 grand. That is just, shouldn't be there. I understand paying for stuff if it's if it's something that's will benefit you, but 720, 730, 750 FICO score is horse crap in my book. It's just it's a money grab by the government.
Oh, it is. It is. It's just,
And
well, it's a money pass through. So
yeah, well, these Fannie Mae. I mean, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They're they're in conservatorship, obviously, but the billions that they rake in, you look at their financial sheet. They've got billions that they're working on. It's almost like the Treasury's using. They're funneling the money to the Treasury. So
well, then I had a comment this morning actually on the video that we did last night, and saying that actually I don't think it was on our video. It was one of my posts where I'm saying that December sales were down 46% versus last year, and the comment was, "Well, next you'll see the price cuts." I'm like, no, you the sales are already down 46%. You see the price cuts as sales are declining.
yeah,
Now they've turned around. They're starting to come back up. So that doesn't put downward pricing pressure out there. So it's kind of, you're not going to have, be careful what numbers that you're looking at. When you see that sales are down 46%, that does not mean pricing declined 46% or the pricing is going to decline 30%. It just means there were 46% fewer people buying a home. And
Yeah. Good point.
that's and then not only that, but and I keep saying this over and over again, during the crash, we had in a very short amount of time climbed up to 58,000
Yeah.
homes on the MLS.
Oh, they were going.
Now,
It was brutal.
that also did not, that 58,000 number did not include the homes that were in pre foreclosure status, which I think was about another 9,000. So you're like 67,000 homes, and the buyer traffic was lower than we have today. So what do we have today? We only have 16,000 homes, and we've got 3,000 buyers every, 7 days. So that's not a formula for prices to fall through the floor, even though sales are down 46% versus last year. So didn't mean to get on a
Good point.
soapbox there, but I just wanted
No,
to
that's
clear
good
that up a little
soapbox.
bit. So, but well, anyway, this is fun stuff, Pat. I hope you have a super weekend, and we just had some, I think, some enlightening numbers this week, and we've got some government numbers coming out next week on inflation. So that's going to be interesting to watch. I hope they're showing improvement. I'm still kind of watching back with trepidation, going, I just don't see us hitting 2% anytime soon. So, we'll see what they can accomplish. I'd love it if we had a soft landing, but I just don't know. So that's why I want to just keep digging and digging and digging. So,
We come across something, we'll tell people. So,
all right. Well, thanks for
alrighty.
millions and millions of viewers. Have a great weekend,
Yep.
everybody.
Our millions out there.